more research has been performed among those experiencing postmenopause, which luckily has led to more specific nutrition and diet recommendations. But before we get to that, I need to start by talking about what menopause is and some of the important nutrient needs for those in this life stage. So menopause is a time in a person's life when menstrual cycles stop. What this means is, during this time, the individual no longer produces eggs from the ovaries, so monthly menstruation stops. Or put another way, monthly periods stop. Technically, doctors know that menopause has officially started after about a year without a monthly period. And they can always, of course, check hormone levels through blood tests to be sure. Now, because the ovaries are no longer producing eggs, hormone levels shift too. Specifically, there's a drop in the production of estrogen. Now, after menopause has happened, the years after that are called postmenopause. And because estrogen levels stay low post-menopause, there are some health risks that we need to be aware of. Researchers have found that those in this postmenopausal stage of life, bone mineral density and muscle decrease. At the same time, there's usually an increase in body fat. So there does seem to be an increase in the risk for certain diseases post-menopause, like obesity, cardiovascular disease, and osteoporosis. Luckily, there have been some review articles published recently looking at which foods, nutrients, and dietary patterns may be most helpful for keeping those experiencing postmenopause feeling their best. Now, I love looking at review articles because they look at the results from already published studies and try to summarize the information. So they're great for situations like these when we want to know which eating pattern may be best post-menopause. And here's what I was able to find. When it comes to protein intake, it looks like following the daily protein recommendations are perfectly fine. So unless you're an athlete or have an underlying disease like chronic kidney disease or liver disease, following the general daily protein requirements is perfect. That means for most postmenopausal individuals, consuming about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight per day is a good starting point. Meeting this will help to preserve that muscle. Now, since body weight does tend to increase after menopause, it may be tempting to want to follow a fad diet to help keep the weight off. But researchers found that your typical fad diets like low carbohydrate or high fat diets may increase disease risk, so it's best not to use these. Instead, researchers have found that a Mediterranean type diet is helpful after menopause. Now, before we get too excited that we can head over to Olive Garden and order the never-ending pasta bowl or have pizza every night, let me describe what a Mediterranean type diet should look like. We're talking about less animal fats, which are often sources of saturated fat. Saturated fat is one of the types of fat that can clog the arteries, and as a result, increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. Instead, consume unsaturated vegetable fats and omega-3 fats. These would be extra virgin olive oil, vegetable oils, and oils from marine animals like salmon, mackerel, herring, halibut, and trout. When it comes to carbs, ideally aim to consume whole grains as often as possible. Protein sources can include nuts, seeds, beans, and legumes, as well as eggs, chicken, turkey, and fish, but we should aim to consume less red meat overall. Red meat would include things like beef, so your hamburger and steak, game, lamb, and pork, and of course bacon would fall under that as well. And lastly, consume at least 5 to 9 combined servings of non-starchy vegetables and a variety of fruits each day. Now, this diet not only seems to protect the health of bones, help meet calcium, magnesium, and potassium needs, and protein requirements, but has the added bonus of possible weight loss. Researchers found that those experiencing postmenopause were more likely to lose weight when they followed a Mediterranean-type diet. So if I had to rank which diet is best, it would probably be that one.